Ultra Instinct, a move where you flow like the water. You're flowing, you're as one with body and mind. Throughout the years, there have been many interpretations and evolutions, if you were, of the technique as we've gone through the story of Dragon Ball. Of course, we were first introduced back in late 2017 in the anime with Ultra Instinct Omen, that being just the first look into what is this new power. And of course, at the time, we sang that, it's a technique of the angels, being able to be at one with your body, mind, and spirit, and just being able to flow through the battle. And then, of course, we went into mastered or perfected Ultra Instinct, that being the pinnacle of what Ultra Instinct is capable of, possibly even just what Goku or the human body is capable of given that kind of power. And then, of course, in recent time, we have been introduced to true Ultra Instinct. Say what you will about the Say what you will about the power, it is, in base concept, it's an interesting idea, but it is sort of a regression, I would say. It's going more back to just, my emotions fuel my body and give me strength, instead of it being more of a spiritual, just letting go sort of thing, which, to be fair, as Goku has said in those chapters, just like, this power is more my speed, like being able to use my emotions. Even though throughout the bulk of the story, he's been taught to let go and just like, as like Mr. Popo and King Kai and Whis and everyone had told him, it's just like, you need to just be as lightning. Just let Ultra Instinct be something that controls your body and whatnot.
So true Ultra Instinct definitely felt like a sort of regression from the original sense of how Whis was telling Goku to sever off his own connection with his own mind, since his mind was always not focused on the actual target and he was always getting caught off guard, while Vegeta was too focused and his movements were too rigid and too focused on something where he couldn't let his body move by itself. And instead of being how Mastered Ultra Instinct was the culmination of Goku embodying that sort of teaching, True Ultra Instinct completely feels like an erasure of what they were being taught and built up ever since the resurrection of F Arc and the foreshadowing that Toriyama set up since Dragon Ball to create Ultra Instinct as the ultimate technique. So honestly, if we really want to keep going with Ultra Instinct and keep it as the peak writing tool that it is, we kind of need to fix it.
Again, True Ultra Instinct, it's an interesting thing, is kind of maybe just a one-off, just like Goku's still holding on to like, I want to use my emotions, I want to be more conscious in the fight and enjoy it. That's fine for putting a cap on how Goku used to fight, but now we're in this point where Goku, and even Vegeta to a certain extent, we need it to be more focused on the spiritual aspect of how he fights and trains.
If we want to go forward, since I do feel like True Ultra Instinct definitely isn't the final iteration of Ultra Instinct, if we wanted to save this sort of form, I think True Ultra Instinct, instead of it being like where Omen is perfect defense where he's able to dodge instinctively, and Master Ultra Instinct being where he's able to attack and dodge instinctively, I believe True Ultra Instinct should be the iteration of it where Goku is finally connecting the physical sheer power of Ultra Instinct closest to his base, and that's the excuse that we could use as why he doesn't have the auto dodge technique, why he doesn't have as much focus or as much, control over his own body as the previous iterations. It's just him making the physical sheer power of Ultra Instinct synonymous to his own body. So he's still taking the teaching of Whis where it's not a transformation in a sense, but he's able to stay in it as base form, and that in later iterations he's able to integrate the auto dodge and all the cool abilities that made Dragon Ball Super feel less like two big guys fighting each other, and actually turn it into a sort of mind game where this person has this technique so you have to be careful and watch out. It made fighting much more interesting and much more than just a power level battle.
I mean, yeah, with the whole like True Ultra Instinct, it can be seen as a way of like maybe being like true Saiyan instinct in a sense. Just like he's still trying to connect the idea of using Ultra Instinct as a form, but of course Whis has told him it's just like, no, you shouldn't be equating it to that. Like it's a technique. It's just something that you would use like, just in your day-to-day. Like it's something that you need to get to the point where you're not thinking about it. Like that's the whole point. You shouldn't be thinking about it. It should just be second nature.
The narrative implications made sense where Goku was learning about his own Saiyan pride and how he got the memories back from his father, but how he's able to integrate Ultra Instinct, like how we see he integrated into his God forms and to his blue form, where he kept the auto dodge, and it made it so accurate that even Granola stated that he was able to change his blood flow and the very movement of his cells. However, Granola was still able to catch him off guard, and his accuracy was dropping after a long battle, whereas completed Ultra Instinct was not only physically stronger, but did not have those errors. How Granola later stated that he could not sense any vital points from Goku, and he was just standing there. He wasn't even posing or defending. He was just standing there. Ultra Instinct made it that he did not have any vital points open. The cool idea of Ultra Instinct being the ultimate technique where like you don't even have to do anything, but you're automatically on guard 24/7. It's able to help you out in other ways, in a sense, right? Where you can control your very own internal blood flow, as stated before. Even in the Moral arc, where Goku was just in Sign, he was able to dodge energy absorption to where he told Mirrors that in Ultra Instinct, his energy absorption wouldn't be a problem. Whereas before, when he was fighting in Super Saiyan Blue, the moment Moro was absorbing energy, he instantly depowered the God form because he couldn't handle the absorption, and eventually the fight would just run out quickly because Moro would just instantly absorb his energy. And in Ultra Instinct, he just went beyond that and just started fighting Moro physically. However, when he did focus Ultra Instinct as a sort of power-up, Mirrors also commented that it wouldn't work. By relying on sheer power alone, he can't make the most of Ultra Instinct's strength. So when we stated it to be the ultimate technique, and Mirror saying that Ultra Instinct strength does not come from sheer power, true Ultra Instinct does pale in comparison to what it was built up to be. Even though Goku is able to make it synonymous to his base form, how it resembles mostly his own base hair, and the only real difference is the color of his eyes, we like to see true Ultra Instinct only be the iteration where Goku's making it synonymous to his base, being able to hold it 24/7 without stamina drain. I think in the movie and in the manga for the superhero arc, how Vegeta was stating that these warriors that they fought, Jiren, Gas, Granola, Broly, etc., they were all technically on par from them in power-wise, but the reason why they were made inferior was because they were instinctively able to bring their power from nothing to where they had so much control over their own body that instinctively they could just overpower an opponent that was much stronger than themselves. So I think being able to like keeping Ultra Instinct intact throughout any of your forms or abilities is just what the ultimate goal is, as we stated. So Goku just using True Ultra Instinct as a form where he's able to keep Ultra Instinct in his base, and then later on in a later integration finally not just keep it in any form or ability, and while he's just off guard, he's able to bring back the abilities that it originally had, all the strengths of Ultra Instinct, such as the auto dodge, and be able to dodge not just abilities that would harm him or kill him, but also passively dodge other moves such as energy absorption, which isn't necessarily harmful, but Ultra Instinct will be able to consciously dodge and see what abilities Goku needs to get away from, you know? Also, just how the differentiation that Mr. Popo makes when Goku was a kid, when he tells Goku he need to empty your mind, and Goku physically just did not think of anything, Mr. Popo said, no, that's different. You need to empty your soul. And so there's this differentiation between the body, mind, and the soul, where even Vegeta states that you need to train your body and spirit so that your energy can come from nothing. That's what their goal should be, where when they're trained, they should be able to fight without wasting any movement. And I think that's a good way to be able to integrate, oh, even though Ultra Instinct has this time limit, we're going to remove it by not having any wasted movement at all. You're going to be able to train to where your body is able to come up with an attack out of nothing. And so I think if we wanted to make Ultra Instinct more overpowered, I think we could kind of like copy, not sort of copy from other verses, but in a sense where Ultra Instinct, how it has that auto dodge, I think when he has Master Ultra Instinct on, I think it would be able to be so overpowered that if he were to hit somebody, even if they still dodge it, it should have some sort of like the X-axis from Bleach where it instantly hits the opponent and it's a no dodge move. Kind of like in Jujutsu Kaisen when they have their domain expansion, it's an undodgeable attack if you're stuck within the domain. I think that's a cool idea where we could make Ultra Instinct more broken in a sense, because its strength doesn't come from the sheer force power that it has. It comes from the sort of hacks abilities that comes with it. And just like like how Goku was able to copy Gas's moves, where he's kind of able to imitate transmutation with his ki. I think if we were able to make Ultra Instinct adapt to the battle, not just through strength, just like in the Goku versus Jiren battle, where every single hit and dodge and block, he was adapting and growing stronger. I think if he's able to adapt in other ways, like let's say increasing the regeneration that the God form grants him, where not only is he able to regenerate cuts, but what happens if he's able to regenerate like actual body parts? He has so much control over his atomic structure that he's able to bring it back using his ki as energy. Or let's say when he has to fight in space or underwater, as we saw in the Gas fight, where Gas almost tried drowning Goku. What if Goku was able to fight without his physical limitation of needing to breathe? Just like in the superhero recap chapters, Vegeta stated that his body and Goku's body have already reached their limits, and that the very thing that's keeping them behind is their actual physical limitations. Toriyama stated in an interview that the body has its limits. Their ki is what's able to help them break through their limits. I think Ultra Instinct should be that sort of embodiment where it acts differently from Goku, where it's able to create pathways to be able to break those limits, where you're not limited to what the body can handle, but it's able to break through those limits in a sense. Even though Ultra Instinct is overpowered, just like when Goku was fighting Whis as Ultra Instinct, Whis stated that he has greater control, greater command over Ultra Instinct than Mirrors does, but in turn the Grand Priest has greater accuracy than even Whis, where Ultra Instinct isn't just a broken ability where, oh, we don't know how to quantify this power. Like, there's still going to be some way to quantify it, where the person who's able to hone Ultra Instinct to a greater effect is the one who is more like the more advantaged in battle, where currently Whis would be able to, you know, one-shot Ultra Instinct Goku, and the Grand Priest would in turn be able to beat Whis. I think that's a good concept in order to keep moving it forward to where eventually maybe Goku may be able to surpass the Angel's form of Ultra Instinct, because he's able to not just hone it better, but be able to implement what Ultra Instinct can do besides just being an auto dodge technique. Just like previously said, he can have moves that are undodgeable, or he's able to revamp his sort of regeneration factor, just as shown when he was fighting Moro, where Goku as Ultra Instinct Sign was fighting an old Moro, but then Moro got his youth back, absorbed 7-3, absorbed all of Vegeta's abilities, and then absorbed Ultra Instinct on top of that from Mirrors. But Goku going from Sign to Mastered Ultra Instinct was able to not just catch hands with that same Moro, but he was able to outlast Moro using Ultra Instinct, even though Moro stated himself that his body was automatically compensating in sturdiness that he needed to be able to keep up with Ultra Instinct. I think that's just a great detail that he added, that person who hones Ultra Instinct greater is the more advantaged fighter and the better fighter in this case. So other sort of moves that we've seen in the manga before, how let's say Vegeta in Ultra Ego, he was able to just like Duraneg Granola Shield. I think those are some really great ideas that we could add to Ultra Instinct, as not just being the auto dodge technique, but a technique that literally will break physical laws in order to win the battle, you know? Ultra Instinct isn't just being severed connection between the body and mind, but it's also just doing whatever it takes to win the battle. And I think it has to be that sort of outside consciousness that is separate from Goku and does whatever needs to be done. Just like when Goku was basically out of the count, he lost all of his energy against the fight with Gas, but because Granola was charging up his attack, Goku had to turn into Master Ultra Instinct, and he summoned his Susanoo in order to basically catch Gas and throw him into outer space, and Granola was able to deliver the final blow. In a sense, that wasn't Goku himself, but automatically it just happened because that's what needed to be done. I think that's a really good point that could be added, that Ultra Instinct just does things that we don't expect. Even when Goku's out of power, just like in his fight against Jiren, the power comes out of nowhere because it's what's needed. He is able to break through his limits, his Zenkais, because that's what Goku needs to do in order to win the battle. When Goku was fighting Granola in his Super Saiyan God form and he integrated the auto dodge from Ultra Instinct, his accuracy started falling and he was caught off guard by Gas basically and just one shot with the pressure point. But when he was fighting him in his Mastered Ultra Instinct form, which is physically superior to the God forms, not only did he not get caught off guard, and as stated before, he had no vital points open, but he was able to catch Granola's punch and teleportation before it even happened, and he didn't even have to turn around. His body just automatically accounted for that. So honestly, Ultra Instinct as being the ultimate technique, it has to have some sort of crazy abilities like that and not just the sheer power that true Ultra Instinct gives him. And do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to add?
I do really like the fact that they're delving into the fact that Ultra Instinct isn't just like a physical thing, like it dodges physical attacks, like you said before, like it dodges the energy absorption, like it like dodges like energy attacks, and also like on a molecular level, like is able to. Granola wasn't able to pinpoint his vitals because he was able to shift his blood flow around and everything. Like it truly is the like ultimate technique, because it's not just a physical power up or physical ability, like it's on a spiritual, like even molecular. It's just able to dodge and counter everything that's thrown at it.
Not even just Whis, but all of Goku's previous teachers, even the Yardrats, they stated that you need a balance within your body and your mind, and to be able to train your spirit beyond your limitations. It just like he said in his Gas fight when he turned True Ultra Instinct, Gas asked, I thought silver hair indicated max strength. Well, Goku in True Ultra Instinct stated that for Ultra Instinct to work, I need my heart to be calm and tranquil, and in that form he could put his emotions to work. His emotions as a Saiyan is what drives the power growth, but in a sense we want to be able to integrate that without having, you know, the consciousness bringing him back, where he's just able to use Ultra Instinct on command, but any sort of emotion or rage boost technically that he gets as a Saiyan is just automatically turned into power without the need of an emotion. Kind of like the flight or fight response, it just happens automatically without needing a sort of emotional trigger. There shouldn't be that sort of emotional trigger, as Ultra Instinct is the embodiment of just doing it because it needs to be done. When he was fighting against Granola, right here it says that Ultra Instinct should have no weaknesses, and he blames his own lack of training. And I think that also just pinpoints back to the point where I said the person who hones Ultra Instinct the greatest is the one with the greater advantage. That is what Goku is saying in the manga against his fight with Granola, that he's not used to using Ultra Instinct as a Super Saiyan, and he found that weakness when he was trying to combine it with his God forms and his blue forms, where he just should be able to master Ultra Instinct in it of itself, to where those weaknesses aren't apparent. The reason why he did in the first place use God forms on top of Ultra Instinct was because of the stamina drain and the time limit, where he was able to conserve more power if he combined it with his God forms, even though it was physically weaker. If we want to remove that sort of time limit and that sort of weakness that it has, I think, going back to what Vegeta said, you have to have your moves come out of nothing, you know? It has to come back from zero, just like as stated before, Jiren and all those other very skilled fighters were able to do it instinctively. I think if we want to make this also a broken move, I think it should be able to sort of negate reversal of actions, just like, you know, how GER or EOS from the Dragon Ball Super manga, they're able to kind of like reverse, not just causality, but like kind of like erase your actions in a sense. EOS is kind of more overpowered because she's able to like freeze consciousness, and like it's just the Super Dragon Ball Heroes manga. It's overpowered. If we wanted to, like, Ultra Instinct's control over your actions, if Goku were to ever master attacking from nothing, it should be able to negate reversal of actions like that, where it doesn't work, he's able to bypass it, you know? I think that's a cool way to make Ultra Instinct such a better technique, besides having the idea of an undodgeable attack that he throws, you know? In his fight against Jiren, I think there was a sort of like implication that when he was hit with that red blast, even though Goku was charging up a Kamehameha, and he was inside of that red blast that Goku hit, he converted his Kamehameha into like a physical shield to be able to sort of minimize the damage that he took from Jiren's attack. So I think being able to convert from offense to defense is such a good idea that they had in the anime original that maybe wasn't taken into account so far by viewers. Yeah, if we want to keep Ultra Instinct as the ultimate technique, we should be able to integrate sort of ideas and concepts, not just from other works of fiction, or like similar, not copying, but be able to create our own ideas of like, okay, how can Goku still win? How can Goku get out of this challenge? What needs to be done for him to win? And he should be able to bypass sort of techniques on the fly, just like how he's able to, you know, copy abilities. Even before Ultra Instinct, when he copied the Kamehameha after viewing it once, even though it takes 50 years, he was able to make his own pseudo Hakai against Fuse Zamasu after only seeing Beerus do it a few times. He's able to copy techniques on the fly. I think Ultra Instinct should just like majorly help his ability and to be able to copy abilities and not just adapt to the situation, but adapt in also his power moveset, being able to copy abilities but also bypass abilities. So yeah, we just wanted to make this video since we didn't really like True Ultra Instinct, and we came together saying like, how can we fix this L that Toriyama is writing right now? Like, I respect the guy, I love Ultra Instinct as a concept, but it did feel like a total regression from what Whis was already teaching him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think most people would agree with that. I saw some people that on comment sections of new manga chapters saying like, you guys are overreacting, blah, blah, blah. But like just reading the statements itself, Goku is just going back from the teachings of Whis and it's just focusing on the sheer power, which for 3 entire arcs, he's been told like, don't rely on the sheer power. That's not the strength of Ultra Instinct. And then Goku goes on and says, no, I want to use my emotions as my own strength. That should just be used as a sort of phase that he's integrating Ultra Instinct into his own fighting style without, all the extra hacks, and then he's just tapping into it as his comfortable state. After he does that, he's able to integrate into his base form without that sort of stamina drain. He's able to hone it to where he could just turn it on and off and just have it on permanently. That's when he should master the techniques again, the auto dodge and everything, because that's what Ultra Instinct is. That's what it was foreshadowed to be, and that's what makes it so amazing compared to Blue and God.
Yeah, Ultra Instinct should be a technique, not a transformation. I mean, the way he uses True Ultra Instinct, yeah, it's definitely more along that kind of thing where he's still trying to integrate it as a transformation because he's still in that kind of mindset. But going forward, I think that this can just be as just a phase in Goku's training, that this is just like him testing stuff out. And I'm sure, hopefully, fingers crossed, going into the future, that we see more of mastered, perfected Ultra Instinct as he actually is able to actually master it and see him go even farther with the power.
Go super duper instinct.
Exactly.
If he just keeps going and mastering Ultra Instinct or actual technique that it needs to be, that just adapts to any case scenario, I don't think anybody would be mad if it's just overpowered, like it breaks physical laws, right? Because I mean, just looking at Dragon Ball, Bardock made a wish that gave basically Goku and Raditz, all of them, fate protection. It was said that's why they survived the planet Vegeta explosion, because apparently the wish from Dragon Ball gave them protection across all of their lives to where they would be thriving. And so literally Goku is made to be that guy to break through any limit. Like he's that guy. He'll break logic because he needs to win, and he's constantly improving himself. He's just that guy.
Just goated.
He's just goated.
Well, I mean, with the whole Raditz thriving though, there's kind of a a big asterisk on that one. But
no, but here's the thing, it's because Goku was also made to thrive. So like 2 of them that had fate protection, Goku was the one that came out on top. It took another one to kill Raditz.
I mean, yeah, that you could look at it that way, true.
But yeah, I think those are my closing thoughts. Just keeping Ultra Instinct not just as a technique, but also growing it beyond what Whis could teach him in a positive way, besides just I'm gonna keep using my emotions, as Toriyama is currently driving it, and just keeping that separation between the body, mind, and spirit as stated in the manga, where he's able not just to balance them, but it would improve on them physically and adapt to whatever situation comes up. Just connecting it back to all of Mr. Popo's teachings, all of the teachings that even like King Kai stated, that Goku should not have wasted movement within there, that he should be as tranquil as the heavens, as quick as a bolt from the blue, want to be the best in the universe, and you got to train not just your body but also your spirit. All these quotes directly taking Goku towards that pathway of Ultra Instinct. It's not just that new form that he brought up, True Ultra Instinct, but it's actual foreshadowing of what Ultra Instinct is as itself, not him using his emotions while using Ultra Instinct, like there's no sort of connection to that. That regression is like, not just hurts the story, but in a sense it hurts his fighting style, since it's just that sheer power again, as stated before. So we want to keep these teachings not just alive, but it's these teachings were here to make Goku better as a fighter. So even though Goku is using it to accustom to his own fighting style, he has to correct himself to fix his own weaknesses and errors. That's how he betters himself. That's the story of Goku, where he betters himself and he saves people as a side mission because he wants to better himself, and he ends up fighting bad people over and over and over. He'll keep sparing them because he wants to better himself and grow stronger if they ever come back. That's the story of Goku.